The Bring a Trailer Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bring a Trailer Podcast. Alex Porter here, coming to you from the San Francisco headquarters of the company, joined by a man who really needs no introduction, Donald Osborne today. Donald Osborne, ASA, accredited senior appraiser, also principal of automotive valuation services and consulting director for the Audrain Automobile Museum. Classic car expert extraordinaire, bon vivant, a man of many charms. Donald, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Alex. It's a pleasure.
We got into it right before I even pushed record. We were already talking about whether Bring a Trailer is a piece of trash or not. So I don't know if we should start there, or if we should start with your background, or where we should go.
Well, we can start with my background. I knew Randy Nonnenberg before Bring a Trailer started, and I spent a very cold evening in Pebble Beach sitting next to Howard Swig, talking about what we would not talk about in terms of Bring a Trailer. But it's a very, very funny thing. I remember Bring a Trailer back when you were hired, when it was an amalgamating site where it picked up great listings of cars for sale in various places, almost all of which were complete POSs, but really interesting POSs. And, it's something that I relate to greatly because my guiding philosophy when it comes to old cars has always been maximum impact for minimal outlay. The weirder car you can find that nobody else cares about, the better. You can have a lot of fun using it, driving it, showing it off to people, explaining it. There's nothing more boring than having a car you don't have to explain. Oh, look, it's another new Porsche 911. Oh, you have to explain the color. Okay, got it.
No, you've got to explain the stitching and how all the pain you went through to custom order. No, I'm with you, Donald, for sure.
Oh, my God. So I am a long-term BAT subscriber. I don't know if BAT actually never assigned a subscriber number, so I'd be really early, whatever it was.
You were I remember one of our earliest auctions was a Lancia of yours. I think that was a Miele car or something like that. I remember when you listed that car, everyone was very excited.
Yeah, I mean, I've sold, I think probably, I'm hardly a master seller, but I think I sold probably 6 or 7 cars on BAT, and I bought at least 4. And I have certainly assisted clients with selling and buying lots and lots of cars on Bring a Trailer. And as we were discussing right before we started, as an appraiser, one of the jobs of a professional appraiser is to understand markets. And that's a very interesting thing that's happened because people look at collector car auctions and they say, well, wow, I didn't know that a such and such 2-year-old car is a collector car. Well, it was at this auction I saw. I said, well, no, that was simply a used car selling in a collector car channel. And auctions and channels are very interesting things. And the fact that sort of price points and what you get used to. You think, okay, I go to this market. You don't go to Whole Foods to find canned peas on sale. And so you have an idea of what you're going to get at Whole Foods versus, I don't know, Stop and Shop or someplace, whatever it might be, a Safeway, depending. I have to be very regional. Kroger's, Harris Teeter. I have to cover all the regions. Star Market. It doesn't matter. But
we've got Albertsons out here.
Albertsons. Okay, thank you very much. And it's one of these things that markets make themselves by their appropriateness. If people can sell an item in a market, then they will. If people think to go there to find that item, then more people will bring more of those items there for sale. And it's been very interesting to see how the Bring a Trailer market has certainly grown and broadened from the beginning of it. But I've always said to clients of mine, when they say, well, I've got a car for sale, how should I sell it? Okay, let's look at the car, figure out what you want to do with it, figure out who the logical and most expected buyer might be for that car, and then say, okay, this is the thing that you could do with it. And very often people will say, well, I want to consign my car to some name the shiny lights and beautiful curtains and wonderful chandeliers and expensive cocktails auctions. And I say, well, that's very nice. However, your car is not going to be accepted for consignment by that auction company because they have X number of slots that they have to fill. And your car, which might have a market value of $80,000, will take up the same floor space as a car they can get $800,000 for. So if you were them, which one would you pick? It's simply logical. It's not they don't like
Are you that blunt with them, Donald? Do you say it like that?
100%.
Amazing.
Well, one of the things, this is great, I'll take a little detour here, is I had a wonderful moment that I think everyone gets to in their lives, some earlier, some later. When you realize that honesty, truth, and directness, without being rude in any way, shape, or form, is the only way forward because it makes things so much easier.
100%.
And the fact that there are people in the world, shockingly, who probably don't want to be a client of mine. And I'm fine with that. It's okay. There are other people that they can work with. And the clients I have love working with me. I love working with them. And I think that if you're not going to be honest about what it is you're doing when it comes to selling or buying a car, I'd like to get into that a bit as well, then you're simply going to be deluded and you're going to be unhappy no matter what happens. And so I will tell people, okay, this is your car. It's likely to sell in this price range based on its condition, its provenance, all the things that make someone want a car. Then I say, okay, your car also is a really fantastic car. It's only had 2 owners from new. The first owner, however, replaced the engine, gearbox, and made the interior from cloth to leather and changed it from automatic to 5-speed. It's a great car. You've enjoyed it. It's a wonderful car. It'll be a wonderful car for the next person, but that's a lot of explaining. And a major catalog auction in this spot, wherever it might be by the side of the ocean, is not going to want to not be able to take all the catalog pages it's going to take to explain that to people.
Right.
So I have told so many people that the best way to explain a car is to list it on Bring a Trailer. Because first of all,
we'll give you as many words as you want.
And if you are smart, like I'm going to go really out on the limb here. Politicians. Let's talk about politicians for a second. Have you seen a politician crash and burn because something horrible has come out about them 3 months after they've declared their candidacy? You would think that these people would get up in the morning and say, I'm going to run for office. Go to the kitchen table, gather their family and friends and neighbors around and say, I'm going to run for office. What should I tell the public? And then they'll say, well, Alex, you should really tell them that, when you were in the 5th grade, you did this. And when you were in the 6th grade, you did that. And if anyone would ever make an announcement, say, hi, I'm Donald Osborne. I'm running for Senate. And I want to tell you that I was arrested for shoplifting at 12. So when that comes out, I don't care. It's done.
Right.
I was never arrested for shoplifting at 12, by the way.
That's an important disclaimer. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Please. I am safe in your store. I am safe visiting your home. It's fine. But just in the same way that people will have something about their car that they think they don't want anyone to find out, and they will list it. Let's just say they list it on Bring a Trailer, and they take lovely pictures of the car, and they write a wonderful description, and it's great. And they post all these pictures, and then someone in the comments says, oh, by the way, this is a really pretty car, but that engine, of course, is obviously wrong for this, 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 and this. If they had simply mentioned that up front, it takes it away. It's like it's a non-starter.
Or I would go even further, because we encounter this all the time, and transparency and honesty is like the whole reason we do this. But of course, we're talking about people selling cars, so they don't always want to be honest. But let's say you do. Let's say you do get found out in the comments during a live auction. Mm-hmm. Admit it. Freaking admit it. Just say it, right? Own up to it. Don't backpedal. Don't get defensive, right? Just be truthful. That's all people want.
I forgot that I only had 4 fingers. I thought I was going to, who knew?
Or I think a lot of people are scared of this. Admit it if you don't know it. Some people don't know everything about their car, or they find out something new, right? Right? You must encounter that all the time. Just be truthful. You don't know everything about your car.
This works on both sides of the equation, the acquisition and the selling. My mother, who was a delightful lady in many ways, we had a slightly conflicted relationship, but that's fine.
From where, Donald? Where did you grow up? Give us the brief bio.
Very brief. Born in Manhattan, New York City, and grew up in New York City. In fact, one of the things that often comes up is the fact people ask me, oh, how'd you get into cars? I say, well, not very naturally, because my family didn't buy their first car until I was 12. You didn't need a car in New York.
Right.
So I got into cars because I had absolutely no friends as a kid. So I spent all of my time reading my older brother's car magazines and hanging out at the library reading car magazines and car books. So my tragic childhood led to a terrific adulthood. So see, all you kids out there who are listening to this podcast who have no friends, don't you worry. You too one day can be on television internationally. It can happen. But just don't stay in your room too long. Get out and look at cars. So it's one of those things that you say to yourself, you have to ask the questions. Why are you selling a car? Why are you buying a car? And if you're selling this car, everyone is selling a car because they either don't need it anymore, or they don't want to deal with what the car needs, or they're desperate to buy something else, they have to sell it. Also, be honest with why you're selling it. People often ask in comments, this is such a great car. You've owned it for a year. Why are you selling it? What's wrong? What are you not telling us about this transaction? And my mother was a school teacher for 35 years. And the greatest gift she gave me was to say, know what you don't know, admit it, and find out where you can get the answer. The most valuable words by which I have tried to live my entire life, or as much of it as I possibly could. And so you're absolutely right. If you don't know something, and chances are, quite frankly, not that it's difficult, but through the bring a trailer consignment process, chances are whoever is working with you is going to challenge you on some of the things that you have not indicated. And there was a big joke, which is no longer a joke because it's basically happening now. I used to joke that when I retired from the car business, I would do a seminar called How to Read an Auction Catalog, which has very little to do with auctions, actually, but it's just about the fact that it is what's not there.
Oh, totally.
That concern you far more than what is there.
1,000 words on the history of Lancia and one sentence on the Lancia in front of you. It drives me crazy, man.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I used to, back in the old days when I was younger and before they changed my medication, I used to write lots of descriptions for auction catalogs for all the major auction companies. And I stopped doing it for a number of reasons. One, because they couldn't actually afford to pay me for the time that I put into it. And the second thing was that I would try to do more research than most of the companies wanted, or frankly, had the time for.
Right.
I get the raw material from the consignor, and they'd want me to shape it into lovely prose. And the best auction companies many years ago got to the point where they said, Donald, when you're writing this description, it's a 2-page description. We don't want more than 30 words about the mark or the model. Yeah. Write about this car.
I mean, that's the gold standard. I don't see that too often in auction catalogs, but that's what we want. I mean, that's the whole bring a trailer listing process is built around that. Tell me about the car that I want.
Well, Alex, going back to, again, we talked about the development and growth of bring a trailer. How about the development and growth of the catalog auction business? Because I remember seeing my first car auction catalogs where they'd actually put in a picture of a similar car.
Oh, man.
Not even a car you're bidding on. Just like, 14 paragraphs about the birth of William Crapo Durant and Louis Chevrolet and all this. And then you see a picture, a gray, grainy picture of a car that wasn't even the car that they were selling. It's like, okay, never mind. But the fact that also it's an emotional business. Buying cars is an emotional business. So people also see what you want to see. It's like when you write a story for publication and you try to proofread it after you've been working on it for 3 weeks. Your eye and your mind fills in the words you think are 100%.
There. Yeah. Self-editing is the hard. I mean, I used to run our production department and help design our editing style. And the hardest thing is editing yourself, right? Like it's almost impossible.
I said exactly what I meant to. Oh my God.
I know. I always used to tell our writers and our editors, read it out loud sometime or read it to your wife or something. And it's like, oh man, that doesn't read the way I thought it did.
Out loud is absolutely key.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing how many times that has saved me. I'm going to get to a very specific instance of a client who I recently helped to buy a car on Bring a Trailer. I won't get too specific about it. So if he listens to this podcast, he doesn't know that I'm talking about him, but I'm not going to say anything bad, but just so that I maintain my ethics and confidentiality. But it's an interesting point that I always ask people who have asked me to help them buy a car, why do you want the car? What are you going to do with it? And people will say, well, aren't you going to tell me how much I should spend for a car? I said, absolutely not. I have no business in telling you what you should or should not spend for a car. I will listen to you, and you will say, I want a car that I can go out and have fun driving on weekends. I don't take very long trips. I want to be comfortable. It doesn't have to be particularly fast. And I just want to go out for ice cream. So I said, okay, fine. And then you say, oh, I've always liked Corvettes. Terrific. Let's try and find the right Corvette for you. And then you'll say, well, of course, it has to be numbers matching. I say, why?
Yeah,
does the ice cream parlor know what the number of your engine is when you pull up? But if you say to me, I want to buy a car that I want to take to national meets for this brand and this mark and this model, and I want to win top prizes. Okay,
Bloomington.
fine.
Give me the Bloomington Golds, Donald.
Do not buy the bargain Corvette that your neighbor has had in his backyard that his 17-year-old son has been fixing up. But I can get it so cheap. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite phrases is, what is the right price for the wrong car?
Totally. I'm sure you're buddies with Bruce Meyer, too, who once told me, buy once, cry once, right? Like, buy the best one you
Exactly.
can. Yep.
Precisely. And to that point about, telling you what you should spend for a car, if you've been looking for a car, the car of your dreams, for the last 25 years, and one finally comes up that fits every one of your criteria, checks every one of your boxes, and is 20% more than you want to spend for one, are you going to wait another 25 years?
Totally.
The next one comes along at your price?
Right. Right.
If you
and
do,
lose
that's
25
fine.
years of enjoying it. No, I've learned all these lessons the hard way, Donald, unfortunately, myself.
But, going to this client, he was referred by a good friend, another client of mine. And it was a guy who's a knowledgeable car enthusiast, does some wrenching on his own cars, and he's had lots of very interesting cars, some high-performance cars. And he's looking for something that he and his wife could go cruising around in. They live in South Florida, so it's hot. And so he said, I love driving my Cobra, but, there are many months in the year that more than 10 minutes in the Cobra, I'm over it. So he said, want to get a nice Corvette resto mod with air conditioning, preferably a C1, preferably something with a hard top. So if it's really hot, we can put the top on. Great.
Maybe a little power steering, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
All that stuff. And so he said, okay, that's great. Said, well, what should I have to spend for that? I said, yes. You can spend anywhere from $75,000 to $400,000, depending on what you want in the bill. So he had done a little bit of shopping on his own. He found a couple of things, and we went through what the various attributes of these particular cars were. And there was a car that he found that was on Bring a Trailer. And he said, what do you think about this? And so I read the listing. I contacted the seller, asked a few questions. And I said, this is a very interesting car. It does not have what these two other cars have, but it does have this and this. And if it is what it purports to be, it could be a good opportunity for you, given your needs. So we then arranged for someone nearby to go and inspect the car and take a ride in the car and look underneath it and all of this. And came back with a report that said, yes, the car is what it purports to be. Then we had the discussion about, well, what should I spend on it? I said, well, you've seen where the various parts of the market are, and this seems to be sort of in this part of that market. Great. Okay, fantastic. My wife really loves it. I said, okay.
Uh-oh. All right. I know where this is headed.
And so I'm watching the bidding, and I'm driving, so I can't actually watch, but I'm sort of at the corner of my eye whenever I get to a red light and saying, wow, okay. He's passed that particular mark that he talked about, and he's doing it very early, very unbat.
Yeah,
He stepped out.
Yeah. I know where this is headed. Yeah.
And so he ends up with the car. He buys the car, and we immediately, again, because he's a guy who really is sensible and listens to advice, sometimes advice, again, as you said, that I don't take myself. He buys the car. We have it picked up by a local mechanic to have a full service done in the car before it's shipped down to him, and a sorting. And he is ecstatic. He's paid 30% more than he said he wanted to pay for that particular car. But he is ecstatic, his wife is ecstatic, and he knows exactly what he bought.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to fool around, doesn't have to do this, doesn't have to do that. And so it's about being aware of what it is that you're buying.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I mean, what a pro experience you gave him. That's about as good as it gets, Donald, including the inspection, all that stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah, and as we were discussing before, it is still slightly shocking to me that people spend six figures on cars that they've not looked at themselves, nor have they sent anyone to look at on their behalf. And I made the comparison buying a house without ever seeing it. And then, of course, I added that I just recently sold a house. I'm the buyer of my house.
I'll admit something to you. I'll admit something to you live on the podcast. I bought a car today, an expensive one, sight unseen.
Well done, and I hope that really works out for you.
You only live once, man. I mean, I could drop dead tomorrow. I want to enjoy myself in a car that I want to drive.
You don't want to drop dead because of the car you bought.
Well, good point. Well, fair point.
This is actually an interesting, I don't know if it's interesting or not. I'll let you and the people listening to this podcast decide for themselves if it's interesting or not. But my first professional writing gig in the car world was for Sports Car Market. I wrote Sports Car Market for many, many, many years and was co-host with my friend Keith Martin on What's My Car Worth for a couple of seasons. And the first piece that I wrote for Sports Car Market was a piece called Mr. Osborne Builds His Dream Car, which was a take on one of my favorite old movies, Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House with Cary Grant and Myrna Loy. Great movie. Anyone who's ever done or considered a restoration of a car or a house or a boat or anything should watch this movie.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more. Wonderful movie.
And so the reason why I titled the article that way was because it was about my path to an Alfa Romeo 2600 Sprint. It's actually how Keith and I met. I was a subscriber to the Alfa Romeo Market Letter, the precursor of Sports Car Market, and a big Alfa enthusiast. And I had a 63 Alfa 2600 Sprint. It's a beautiful, if you don't know what that car is, a beautiful Bertone-bodied, four-seater, very fast GT car.
You got one behind you there on that poster? Is that right? Isn't behind the Julie?
Oh my! Yes. Oh, aren't you good? You're good. Yeah. Yes.
I've been staring at that thing the whole time, Donald.
It's the reason why I have this poster.
I love 2600s. I love them, and we've sold very few on BAT. They don't come up that often.
Oh, for good reason. I mean,
you're about to explain the reason.
No, I love the 2600. This is a 1962 Swiss market poster for the Giulia TI and the 2600, and I had a black 2600 Sprint, so this is like absolutely perfect. So I wanted to buy one of these cars. I always loved them from the time I went to my very first car show, the 1964 New York Auto Show, and I saw an Alfa 2600 Sprint. Now, remember, my family did not buy their first car until 1975. Good Lord, 1975. And so it was a long time in the future, but I fell madly in love with this very strange car that nobody else that I knew had ever heard of. And so I thought I must have one. So I'm thumbing through the pages here. I will absolutely date myself, of Hemmings Motor News. So before you could buy a car sight unseen on Bring a Trailer, you could buy a car sight unseen through the pages of Hemming Motor News. And what you did is you looked at this little black and white print ad, you called the person, you said, do you have pictures of your car? They mailed you photographs of their car. And so I received these lovely little Polaroids of this white 2600 Sprint in Georgia, parked outside. I knew it needed restoration. It's fine. I want to buy a restoration project because God knows I want to do a restoration. So we negotiated a price. Absolutely terrific. I hire a truck to go down to Georgia, pick it up to drive it back to my house in Pennsylvania. The truck pulls up and unloads the car. And it doesn't look too bad. It's got lots and lots of mold on it because, sitting outside and all that. And he pushes it down and I open the door. It has absolutely no floors whatsoever. It had been sitting outside on top of Georgia pine needles for many years, and just the top of the car looked terrific. but there was no bottom. So I thought, okay, so this is going to be a bigger project than I thought. So I better start thinking about buying a parts car to take care of this. So back to Hemmings, I find another 2600 Sprint, also strangely enough in Georgia, suburban Atlanta. And I think, well, okay, so I call the guy up and I say, well, how's this part? How's that part? Oh, it's good. And it runs and drives it. Well, it runs and drives? I said, okay, I'm not going to do the same thing. So I fly down to Atlanta to look at the car. I said, wow, this is amazing. I said, okay, fine, I'm going to take it. I said, I'll deliver to you. As a matter of fact, I'm driving up to Pennsylvania. I've got to go to Philadelphia. I can meet you in Philadelphia. You can drive the car home from Philadelphia to your house. Okay, great. So he calls me on the way. He said, you know what? I think I'm going to deliver to your house instead. Okay, so he comes to the house, unloads it. He said, well, the problem is that it really has no clutch pressure at all, and the brakes aren't really good. So I didn't really want you to drive it. I said, okay, fine. So I realized that this car not only runs and drives, but the power windows work, all this stuff. So I immediately start to take the 66 apart for take the parts off of that to restore the other one. And so I start on this adventure, rebuild the carburetors, the notorious Solex PHH 44 carburetors. And I'm into this thing, and I'm on a business trip to California. While I'm there, I'm thumbing through Hemmings. I see an ad for a 63 2600 Sprint, one family owner from new, black, tan interior, smooth and quiet at 100 miles per hour. I say, holy cow. So I go to look at the car, and it's not exactly as described because, unfortunately, the guy actually had bought it from the original family and had painted it, but didn't put any of the trim back on. It had just come from the paint shop. And I take it out for a drive. It's smooth and quiet at 100 miles per hour. At the paint shop, they had reconnected everything so there were no loose wires. So you blew the horn and the windshield wipers turned on. And it was a hoot. But I said, nonetheless, I'm going to take it. So I buy this car. So I now have 3 2600 Sprints. So I've effected the restoration of a 2600 by buying 3 of them. So therein lies the tale. So yes, you can buy a car sight unseen. Chances are they'll be the first of 3 of that particular car that you end up buying.
There you go.
But it was a fun adventure.
Of course. And what a wonderful story. And you probably learned a lot, right? Like we all learn things through our misadventures. And I find that I learn these great pearls of wisdom from people like Bruce Meyer or like yourself. And then I don't actually follow them, just like your client. When, the emotion of a moment or a specific car grabs a hold of me, all that stuff kind of goes out the window, or at least it has a tendency to.
Well, that's not going to happen right now because as we also spoke, I am multitasking here because
Yes, tell me about your roles. How's it going?
Recording this podcast with you, and I'm watching an auction. I won't mention the auction company, but I'm watching a live auction currently online from a location a few hundred miles away from where I am. And they're on lot 255. So my roles is that lot 278. And it's a car that I have no business buying whatsoever. I don't need it. I've been in the process actually of downsizing the number of cars that I have because when I stepped down from my role as CEO at the Audrain last November, I've got a place in Italy. And so I spend 5 months of the year in Italy and 6 months here in Rhode Island, a month in California. And so undriven cars get unhappy very quickly. And so I thought, I don't want to have undriven cars anyplace. So I've sold 3 cars here in the US. And my intention is to buy another fun car for Italy. I've got an everyday car in Italy, a Lancia Ypsilon. And then I'm restoring a 1935 Fiat 508 Balilla Bertone sedan. One of 3 built, one of 2 extant, designed by Mario Ravelli di Beaumont. It's a really cool car. So I don't need another car.
Yeah. Sure. Do you still have a 2600?
Oh, gosh, no.
You were cured of 2600 love?
Well, no. I am a serial collector. So I buy a car, I experience the car, I drive the car, I love the car, and then I move on to the next thing because I want to have other experiences. And I also am a fairly big believer in horses for courses. All the cars that I have, and I never have lots of cars at one time, but they should all give me a different driving experience.
Sure.
And there was one point when I had the 2600 Sprint, I also had a Lancia Flaminia Pininfarina Coupe. I thought, and I also had at not the same time, a Fiat 2300 Ghia Coupe. And I thought, all these cars do exactly the same thing.
Sure.
And that just doesn't make a lot of sense for me as a collector, as an enthusiast. The perfect collection I ever had, which I will never be able to duplicate again, was when I was still vintage racing. I had a really neat vintage racer that was based on a 1951 Crosley hotshot. It's called the Crosley Gardner Special. It's a really neat thing built in Glendale, California. This guy named Chuck Gardner. And it was on the cover of Honk and Hop Up magazines.
Wait, this isn't the little blue car that raced at Le Mans, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's red.
Okay.
Red car. It did all of its racing in Southern California when it was new. The guy won his class in every race he entered in Southern California, Nevada, Arizona. An amazing thing. And it was always a race car, always on the West Coast till I bought it from Fantasy Junction and brought it back east and raced in the VSCCA.
Did it have custom body? So my dad loves hot shots and, first disc brakes. They've got that cool little stamped engine. And every time we're at the historics, he gravitates right to the pits where all the, there's like, you probably know them. They're probably your buddies. There's a little crew of Crosley racers.
The H modified.
Yes, correct.
Exactly.
But we listed maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it might have been Fantasy also, a hot rodder in SoCal, hand-hammered a blue body and drove the car around France, made it maybe 50 laps into Le Mans before it sold for only 50 grand. It's got to be the cheapest car that ever raced at Le Mans.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. This car had a customized body. He was very, very clever. So it didn't look like a standard Crosley hotshot.
Yeah, okay.
When it was brand new, it had, and this is a funny thing when he sold it, it had a beautifully handmade egg crate grill. It looked very much like a Ferrari Barchetta. And when the second owner bought it, he loved the 53 Corvette. So he chopped the original nose off and made a new nose that looked more like a 53 Corvette. And Chuck Gardner was apparently furious with this guy. So like, hey, you sold the car. What do you do? And the car was very inexpensive, hardly inexpensive for a very historic thing. The neatest thing about it, and I joked that it was the most valuable part of the car, is the fact that it ran on Halabrand magnesium midget sprint car wheels.
No kidding. Like 11
Incredibly
inches
cool.
or 12 inches or something like that? What was the size?
12 inch sprint car wheels. So cool. And people would say, aren't you nervous about driving those? Like, if you went around a corner too fast and the tread ran over it. It's like, if I could get going that fast, I've got other problems to worry about besides the wheels exploding.
Don't the race car hot shots, there's a huge single carburetor. Don't they put about a 45 millimeter Weber on them or something like that?
It depends.
Oh, okay.
Mine ran on dual Webers, dual side draft Webers with the requisite Bragi intake manifold and valve cover and sump. It's an amazing car, absolutely fabulous car. So I had that for racing. For the pre-war driving experience, I had a 1953, obviously not pre-war, right, you say? Lancia Ardea, which is the last of the series of the cars which were introduced in 1939. Fabulous narrow-angle V4 engine, 850cc. The world's first production 5-speed gearbox in a production car. Pillarless suicide opening doors. Amazing car. Absolutely fantastic car. Then, if I wanted wind in my head motoring, I say that for people listening, people don't know, I'm bald. I had a 1960 Alfa Romeo 2000 Touring Spider, which I absolutely loved. And then if I wanted to go fast, I had a 1969 Lamborghini Islero.
Oh, man.
So every one of the cars offered a completely different driving experience, and that was absolutely fantastic. And I never had the discipline to quite get back to that kind of thing again.
Tell me about the Islero a little bit. I love those cars. I was at the Quail a couple of years ago when they had about 20 Isleros. It was the featured car at the Quail, maybe 2017, something like that. I've always loved them. I think they're kind of, they're a little bit under the radar. I'm not sure a lot of people know about them. They're just a gorgeous car.
No, very few people know about them. I love early Lamborghinis of all kinds. And again, the Islero is a car that I'd always loved. Again, loving the quirky. I love the 350 GT.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I thought, this is really interesting. You can actually get the performance of the 350 GT and the 400 GT in their successor that cost half as much, and I think is a really handsome car. I love the very clean styling that it has. And so I thought, I'm going to look for one of these cars. And again, how you know when you're going to buy a car. I wanted an Islero. They're very, very rare. They made 125 of the first series and 100 of the second series. And so they don't come up for sale all the time. So again, I was on a business trip out in California, and I went to visit my friends at Fantasy Junction, and lo and behold, there was an Islero. Wow. Took it out for a test drive. Thought, oh my God, this car is astonishing. Went back to the showroom, went through the service records. It had probably about 3 inches of service records. I went through every one of them.
That's both good news and also frightening. That's like both things.
Yeah, the whole... This is the part where my cleverness got the best of me. I went through every one of those invoices. I did not find one invoice for a valve job. I thought, I'm not going to be the one that does the valve job in this engine. Forget about it. I'll wait for the next one. Cue Jeopardy music. Da, 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 da. So the years go by, the calendar pages fly off the wall. And finally, I see another one for sale in Fort Lauderdale at a friend's dealership. And it was $20,000 more than what I could have gotten the one in California for years before. But I thought, okay, let me take a swing at this. And there's a hurricane. So all the power's out in Fort Lauderdale. But I call him up and say, look, I want to come down and see the car. Let me know when you have power. So I'm calling. And I call him one morning and said, oh, the power's supposed to be back on this afternoon. I said, great, I'll be there tomorrow morning. So I flew down and drove the car, said, fine, I'll take it. And he said, that's amazing because I've gotten so many calls in this car, but no one can come down yet because the power's been out. I said, well, they're not aggressive enough. So I buy the car. I am madly in love with this car. I take it on 3,000-mile rallies. I take it everywhere. It's an amazing car. I absolutely love it. And then I decide that it's time for me to buy another car. I bought the Islero in 2005. And in the summer of 2008, I consigned it for sale at Pebble Beach at auction. And I set a world record for the car at auction, which lasted for 4 years. 5 years.
Amazing.
No, 5 years it lasted. And there's actually another funny story, which I will tell, which will get both you and me into great trouble. We talked about people that buy cars without looking at them. Now, the person that bought the car was present in the room. And I spent a good deal of time during the preview standing around and talking to some people that came up and looked at the car. And so I knew that the car was going to sell. I actually was so confident that I actually lowered my reserve before the sale. So I said, I know it's selling. So the car sells. And I go and speak to one of the folks that work at the auction house. I said, I know you don't have to, and you probably don't want to tell me who bought the car, but I just want to know, was it this father and son? Because they were really terrific. And I spent a lot of time saying, no, there was this youngish guy, and he was there like with his posse. I said, young guy with posse? I don't know. I said, yeah, I remember this because after the car left the block, I had to take him to see the car because he hadn't seen it. The first time he saw it was when it drove up in the block. I said, oh my God. I said, well, does he like it? I said, oh yeah, he liked it a lot. So I called the next morning. I said, did he pay for it? Yeah, he paid for it. I said, great. The person who bought the car was Adam Carolla.
That's funny.
So it was hysterical. When he was building his blue Lamborghini collection, that was one of them. So it was quite funny. So, the impulse, the emotional buy is a very powerful thing.
But he probably knew who he was buying from too, right, Donald? I mean, he knew it was your car.
I don't know if he did or not. I mean, I told him years later. We had a conversation years later. I said, oh, you bought my Islero.
I mean, one of the things that blows my mind is how many people there are like that, right? They make up their mind in their head. They're like, I want this car. And sometimes they don't even care if it's that good, right? They're not even really that interested in it. They just want the thing. And I mean, usually it's somebody with a lot of money and they're just ready to buy the item and move on. I know you're an art guy and a music guy. This happens in other similar collector markets too, right? They've got to have the thing and they're going to get the thing.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you 2 stories. One on the low side, one on the high side. One of the cars I recently sold was a 1953 Jaguar Mark 7, which I absolutely loved. It's a fantastic car. A car I bought slightly by accident. I was putting together with the executive director of the Audrain an exhibition called From the Racetrack to the Opera, Marks That Did It All, where we put pairs of cars, a touring or luxury car from a brand and a racing car from a brand. So the Jaguar pair was going to be a D-Type and a Mark 7. I thought, no problem finding a Mark 7. I'll have to probably hunt for the right D-Type. Found the D-Type in 2 minutes. Could not find a Mark 7 for love or money. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Bonham's auction catalog comes out for Amelia Island. There's a Mark 7 in it. Wow, isn't that amazing? So I'm down there, and everybody I speak to, I say, you should buy this Jaguar because it'll be in the exhibition at the museum. Just buy it. It's going to go to the museum. Be fantastic. Everyone says, nah, I'm good. Okay, fine. So I'm sitting at the auction, sitting in the front row of the auction. Car comes up on the block. First bids come up very low. I was like, oh, well, this is crazy. Well, so I just put my hand up. I make a bid. I said, well, surely someone's going to outbid me. Well done, Donald. Your car. I thought, oh my God, I didn't mean to buy that.
That's such a fascinating story, though, because I've just encountered this recently. Like, the rare car gets preserved and the commonplace car kind of disappears. So I have, speaking of pre-war cars, 2 Cords, and I love them. And I was just back at the big Auburn, Indiana meet, and I would really like a big Auburn, the full classic Auburn sedan, but all of them got turned into Speedster replicas, right? So there's all these new Speedsters that weren't real, but the plain Jane sedan, they're gone. There was like 2, right? And there's like 20 Speedsters. It's an interesting phenomenon that happens, right? Like all the Mark 7 Jags, probably everyone threw them away, but the D-types all got saved.
Exactly. And it was an amazing thing. And this is an extraordinary car. I was the second owner of that car. To be the second owner of a 1953 car, came with absolutely everything. The complete toolkit with the bulbs, everything, the owner's manual, the original sales invoice, everything. And I just sold that car.
What color was it?
Dove gray with a red leather interior, bucket seats, 4-speed manual. And the original owner was also someone who loved Jaguars and Bugattis. And he loved performance. So when the car was 2 years old and 55, he took it to his mechanic and had it upgraded to 120M spec. So it had the bigger SU carburetors, hotter cams. Oh, it's an amazing car. Fantastic car.
Man, what a car.
And on the other side of it, talking about, people that buy, I remember years ago, there was a 300 SL Gullwing. That was a nice car, nothing terribly special, that suddenly set an auction record. And everyone's thinking, what the heck was that all about? Turns out, and of course, there has to be an underbidder. So again, this is where emotion gets in. But the person who bought the car was going to buy that car. It was built on the day he was born. He wanted that car. So it didn't matter. It was like, my hand's up. I'm not stopping.
Right. I mean, some of the most wild results we've seen on the site, and one of them we turned into a big success story and even a video, was, people trying to buy either a car they literally owned before, right? Like we've seen that before. We've brought Furman engines back together with the right 550, or one guy bought a Porsche 906 owner's manual for his 906, right? Like they've been separated for all these years. But, it's either a car they personally owned, or it's like, oh no, my wife had that exact car in high school, same color, whatever, and it's her 50th birthday. So if I need to pay $75,000 for a Corolla, that's happening.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely. And again, to me, it's the best kind of buying. It may seem irrational to some, but I think that more buying of cars, art, furniture, whatever it might be, should be irrational, because you have to buy emotionally. One of the things that I recently did a lecture at a university in Italy, in Milan, part of this program of collection management. And it was about automobiles as an asset class. And I said, you know what? I would love to do this lecture because I don't believe in automobiles as an asset class. So I can't wait to do this.
Yeah.
And so I did this lecture. It was absolutely fantastic. I always say, yes, they can be an asset. Well, they are an asset. It's appreciated.
A lot of times they're a liability. A lot of times they're a liability.
But, if going back to the beginning of our conversation, why are you buying the car? If you're buying this car because you want to take it on these events, you want to drive it in this way, you want to meet these people who have cars like it, the car is going to give you incredible memories and experiences. When was the last time you said, I'm going to take my dream vacation, I'm going to spend $30,000 on a round-the-world cruise or the safari or whatever it might be, and you get home and say, okay, now my vacation's got to pay me back.
Right. Totally.
It doesn't happen.
Totally.
So, it's crazy. And you see people who will go to Las Vegas for a weekend and spend $10,000 and then say, well, I can't sell my car for less than that because I paid more than that for it. So, well, how often do you drive? Oh, I never drove it. Well, there you go.
I mean, Donald, it's like you're speaking from the inside of my brain. We talk about this all the time at BAT. Cars are for using. And like, if you got $10,000 of use out of it, who cares if it lost $10,000 in value? I mean, I used to fly airplanes. I used to drive race cars, and those are both just money pits, no matter what. And I remember reading an article. It's almost like something you could have written, talking about airplane ownership and the recommendation for because you can't make it make sense, even if you're flying for business.
Right.
And this guy recommended go out to the airport, take a beer with you, go sit, don't even take your key to the airplane and just go sit next to it. And if you're happy to do that, then keep it, right? Like just that's it, right? Did it make you happy? Great.
Exactly.
There you go.
And the other thing was a great thing in Time magazine when they had Briggs Cunningham on the cover of Time magazine, and a wonderful quote from him describing yacht racing. He said, "Put on every bit of clothing you own, turn the shower on as cold as it will go, and burn $100 bills."
I was going to say, talk about lighting money on fire. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
But what a life that guy lived. I mean, that's it, right? You know, Cadillacs at Le Mans and racing yachts in your neck of the woods there. Probably right off Rhode Island there, right off Newport, right? Yeah.
Yes. One of the great, slightly humorous tragedies of life is that any day I choose to, I can drive down a street called America's Cup Boulevard. And America's Cup hasn't been here for quite a while now.
Well, you've got it out here now. These tech billionaires are, racing these crazy boats out here in the bay now.
There was a great, the last challenge, which didn't go very far, was actually a boat that was headquartered here, 11th Hour Racing. The Penske was involved with the syndicate. It was a boat out of Newport.
Amazing.
But they didn't make it that far. The most illogical thing to me in the entire world are the America's Cup rules, which are obviously written by people who never assumed they would ever lose.
That's right. That's right. Some of Queen Victoria's buddies. Did you know Briggs by chance?
No, I did not, unfortunately.
You probably made it out to the museum here. I went when I was a little kid. My dad used to take me to the museum here in Southern California, where they had a Bugatti Royale and the Le Monster and all that stuff. That's the Collier collection, I think, largely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Miles is a good friend, and I love going to Revs, and I suggest that anyone who's never been, you must go. It's an extraordinary place, and you feel Briggs Cunningham when you walk into the place, and Miles has expanded the collection. It's not just that. And also, I will say, and he won't mind me saying this because it's public domain, Miles Collier also, I admire him so much because he's a brilliant guy, and he's a true enthusiast, and he's funny, and he's just great. I love him. But he also is the person who I think made the best automotive deal in history. He buys the Briggs Cunningham collection. He then sells the Kellner Coupe Royale for 2/3 of what he paid for the entire collection.
Yep.
How come I can't do this? How come you can't do that?
I know.
Doesn't happen. Plus, I joke with him all the time because the Kellner Coupe is my favorite of all the Bugatti Royales. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And he said, "Oh, it was lovely enough looking car, but had nothing to do with anything else here."
Yeah.
But
so I wish I could remember his name. My dad would kill me. But the curator of that museum was a buddy of my dad's, and I have this memory, Donald, from I was probably 3 or 4 years old. I was born in 1983, and the curator would balance a dime on edge on the hood of the Kellner Coupe, and then he would get in and start it, and the dime wouldn't fall over. That was his party trick, and I remember seeing that when I was a little kid because it was smooth. Isn't that amazing?
No, you got me going because I can't remember.
He was a circle track racer. We have a piece of his art in my parents' house. Anyway, really sweet guy, and what an amazing place. Yeah.
But again, another great memory that I have, a recently made memory. Audrain Motorsport is the sponsor of the Goodwood members meeting, and every year does a tour for folks to come over. It's a week-long tour to visit various places, the McLaren Technology Center, Bewley, all these wonderful things and collections and all this. And the group has a private track day at Goodwood in which they drive the vintage cars of Goodwood around the track. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of my other great heroes, Derek Drinkwater, who's this absolutely mad Englishman who's built a perfect replica of Le Monstre and of the 1950 Series 62 Coupe as well, that ran Le Mans. And he did it with the total blessing and the support of Miles and the folks at Rev. So it's an exact tool room copy of Le Monstre. And I drove it at Goodwood.
Did you really?
Oh my God. It was remarkable. Holy cow.
Well, because Le Monster is just a Series 62 underneath, right? With the crazy body, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
It's a Series 62 underneath with 1/3 the weight of a Series 62.
Yes.
And it's just
One of the
Yes.
most shocking looking cars of all time.
it is this vast thing with this incredibly powerful engine with large but drum brakes, so you plan ahead, and it is absolutely amazing. And it's just,
And it's an automatic transmission too, isn't it?
automatic transmission.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
It is fabulous. It's absolutely amazing. And
say
so
the guy's name again. He had a great British name. What's the builder's name?
Drinkwater. Derek's Drinkwater. He is fabulous. He's absolutely fabulous. And my favorite of the Cunningham cars is the C4. I always get the letters wrong. The coupe. CR4K.
Yes.
CR4K right. Coupe, which is amazing. And you stand next to that car, and you just feel its presence. It
100%.
is just absolutely remarkable. So yeah, that's why people should buy and own and have cars. This investment thing.
I know. Well, you're getting me fired up. It's good when you, I don't know if this is the case for you, Donald, but when you do cars all day long, sometimes you're like, do I actually like cars? So it's good to talk to somebody like you and remember that we love them.
Yeah, we do. And it's a very funny thing too. And I'm sure you, like me, having spent so much time around cars, it's very easy also to become jaded.
100%.
Like, oh, a Ferrari 250 GTO. Which chassis number is that? Yeah, whatever. And I'm always slightly amazed when I'm out in the car and kids especially stop and take pictures of the car and pose next to the car. It's like, what are you doing? It's just like, it's another one of these. Then I did something a couple of years ago. I wrote a feature for Porsche Panorama for the PCA to commemorate Porsche's victory in the last FIA-sanctioned Targa Florio. And I was in Italy, and so Porsche Italia sent a new 911 Targa down to Sicily, and my spouse Frank and I drove on the Targa Florio route in this new Targa. And we also shot a video and chatted with a bunch of local people, middle-aged guys who remember the Targa Florio when they were kids and all this.
What year was the last year, and where can we find this video? I'm going to watch it tonight. We can link to it in the thing, too.
Absolutely. It's on the PCA YouTube site. And it was 1973.
Early. Okay.
The RSR.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Right after the 908s won it towards the end.
908, correct. Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And it was amazing for two reasons. One, because I always rail on about how giant the current 911s are.
Yes. You took a Porsche pot shot up at the top of this podcast, I think.
I did. And I never understood the whole thing about all these cameras that they have around the car. But boy, is I glad I had the cameras on. I was driving through the traffic in Palermo as the sun was setting. I said, okay, fine. I'm glad to have the cameras. But the thing that I bring this story up for was because I spend lots of time around lots of modern 911s. Like, okay, fine. It was in Adventuring Green, my favorite modern 911 color, which is nice. It also blends in and complements the scenery of Sicily very well. But you leave the coast, you leave Palermo, you drive up into the mountains, and you stop in these little villages, and it's as if I had arrived in a spaceship. Yeah. Kids are running down the street after me saying, "Oh, che bella macchina, my Madonna." I'm thinking, they're not going to see another 200,000 euro car come through their village.
Right.
And I just take it for granted.
Right. And when you're in the setting and the light, I mean, I find that, I have those moments. Sometimes it's only every couple of years, and you can live off that memory for a long time, man.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, just chatting about this now, I'm going to go back and watch this video tonight. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. It was an extraordinary experience. And literally, we stopped in the village of Cerda for coffee and parked the car out on the curb, went into the shop to get coffee, came back out with the photographer and a friend and the videographer. And there were these three guys standing around the Porsche. And we started chatting in Italian about, why were you here? And I explained what I was doing. I said, oh, well, he said, oh, we grew up here. I said, oh, well, tell us about the Targa Florio. And they just started talking about it. And we said, stop. You have to roll camera on this, Yeah. It was amazing. And they just talked about, oh, yeah, it was great, during the practice or in the week, watching the cars, and how this driver would not hit the brakes until he got to the top of the hill, right here near the corner. And this is the place where you went to listen to the cars. You could hear the cars come for 3 miles away. And it was absolutely amazing.
Donald, what an experience. I mean, you're talking about this and it's so vivid. And I remember watching, there's some old period video of somebody driving on the roads and kind of explaining And as I recall, maybe they're in a Sunbeam Tiger. They're driving fast and they're weaving around, carts and mules and stuff on the regular road that's going to later be the circuit. I love that kind of stuff.
There are two things about Targa Florio that make it absolutely magical. One was the fact that when they practiced, the roads were open. So you were dodging everybody. They closed the roads for the race. But even with the roads closed, there are wonderful photographs of the spectators who stand at the apex of a corner. And the track is so amazing because this course is like nothing else that they could ever do today, because 2/3 of the course are unending curves that never, ever, ever straight and always climbing or always descending. And then one incredibly long straight blast. And the contrast was absolutely spectacular because you'd have cars like the 911 RSRs that were they take the Ferrari 512s and leave them in the dust going up, of course, the hills and down the hills. Then the Ferraris would get to the seaside and say, so long, see you later. And it was just absolutely extraordinary. And you can today still drive 2/3 of the original course. The last third of it, 3/4 of it. The last quarter of it, the road is so deteriorated, you can only drive it in a 4x4.
Okay.
But it is astonishing to do and absolutely worth doing.
Man, I'm ready to jump on a plane to Sicily right now.
Absolutely.
Oh, Donald, what a treat. We could go on forever. Maybe we have to talk again because we didn't get to. I wanted to talk architecture. I wanted to talk food. I wanted to get into everything. We didn't talk.
I'll be glad to come back.
Great. Well, it's been a real pleasure. Let folks know what should they know about. What do you got coming up? What does Audrain have coming up? Tell the folks what they need to know about you and anything you got on the horizon.
Well, we've just had here in Newport the annual Audrain Newport Concours and Motor Week, which is very successful. And it is always the first Sunday in October. So mark your calendars for next year, the beginning of October.
I saw you hanging out with Jay and, who was you? Magnus and Jay, both former BAT podcast guests. Looked like an awful lot of fun.
We had a great, I put together the seminar series for you. We had a great series of seminars talking to Ray Evernham about who's more important, the team or the driver, Magnus and Jay and Steve Serio talking about modding or not modding.
Oh, man. We love all those guys. We're about to, maybe you'll come out. We're about to have our event in Boston with Steve Serio just in a couple of weeks. We're going to have a BAT event up there, and we love Steve. And Evernham's bought some really interesting cars on BAT. He bought one of his old DuPont, one of the old Jeff Gordon championship cars back on BAT. And was kind of secretive about it and then exposed himself in the comments, after the auction's like, hey, by the way, I know where to get spare parts for this. I was the crew chief on this car.
Exactly. The next thing coming up at the Audrain is in the spring is the Veteran Car Tour. This is a really neat 50-mile drive from Newport to Bristol, Rhode Island and back in cars 1908 and older, which is really fabulous.
Do you drive in that? Do you take something out?
I do. Absolutely. The last two times I've done it in a 1907 Ford Model S.
Oh, amazing.
It's been absolutely fantastic. And I will be heading to Italy week after next for 4 days for Auto e Moto d'Epoca in Bologna. And I'm going to be moderating a roundtable with representatives from various auction companies at the release of Adolfo Orsi's latest auction yearbook there at Auto e Moto d'Epoca. And then coming back here, and I'll be down in West Palm Beach, if anybody's around, in November for a great event called Sculpture in Motion. It's a fundraiser for the Ann Norton Sculpture Garden in West Palm Beach. It's a beautiful show, a very carefully curated show of wonderful cars, some great cars in that part of the woods. Then I'm off to Italy for 2.5 months. In November, I come back in February and start all over again.
Gosh, you really know how to live life.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah. I could learn a thing or two from you, Donald. Well, it's been a true pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. I know our community will appreciate everything you had to share. So thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Alex, and I look forward to coming back.
Yes, absolutely. Part 2 coming soon. Thanks to everyone for listening. As always, please feel free to share feedback, thoughts, concerns, complaints about Donald to podcast@bringatrailer.com. We will catch you next time.